Put your hand flat against a wall of stone that was already ancient when Rome was young. The block is taller than you are, it weighs more than a loaded truck, and it was lifted into place 4,500 years ago by hands that had no engines, no cranes, nothing but rope, muscle, and a patience we have almost forgotten. Nobody alive can tell you exactly how they did it. That is the strange thing about the greatest wonders ever built by humans. The closer you stand, the less possible they seem. We are about to cross 6 continents to reach some of the most impossible places on Earth, ancient and modern wonders that still defy imagination. Cities carved whole into red cliffs, monasteries balanced on needles of rock 1,000 feet above the clouds, a dry plain where thousands of temples rise out of the morning mist, giant faces staring inland from an island at the edge of the world, and drawing so vast you can only see them from the sky. Some were built for gods, some for kings, some for reasons no one has ever solved. In this 4K travel documentary, we will stand at the foot of all of them, from a pyramid older than written history to a statue finished in our own century. So settle in and subscribe before we begin. This is a long way to travel, and you will not want to turn back. On the Giza Plateau, on the edge of Cairo, Egypt, stands a building we all think we already know. The Great Pyramid, the tomb of the pharaoh Khufu, the last of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, still standing after 4,500 years. You have seen it 100 times. Here is what almost no one tells you about it. In 2023, scientists aimed detectors at the pyramid that read "cosmic rays falling from space" and used them to see straight through solid stone. What they found hidden just behind the north face was a corridor about 30 feet long that no human being had entered since the day the pyramid was sealed. A camera thinner than a pencil slipped through a crack between the blocks and sent back the first images in 4,500 years. Nobody is certain yet what it was built for. The most measured building on Earth is still keeping secrets. For a long time, people like to say, "We had no idea who raised it." Then in a cave by the Red Sea, archaeologists found the journal of a work crew leader named Petra, written on papyrus, listing the boats of white limestone he floated to Khufu's pyramid. Not aliens, not a lost race. A man with a name, a crew, and a deadline. The numbers are almost as hard to believe as the mystery. Somewhere, around 2.5 million blocks of stone were stacked into it, many of them heavier than a car. Each side of its base runs about 755 feet, and the four sides line up with the points of the compass so precisely that modern surveyors still test their instruments against it. For nearly 800 years, until a cathedral spire finally passed it. In the Middle Ages, this was the tallest structure anywhere on Earth. And it did not always look the way it does today. The whole pyramid was once sheathed in polished white limestone that caught the sun and threw it back for miles, a mountain that shone like a mirror over the sand. That casing is gone now, and what stands is the rough golden core beneath. Still it holds its shape, still it hides its rooms, a 4,500-year-old puzzle that the newest machines on Earth have only just begun to open. A short walk from the pyramids on the same Giza plateau in Egypt, a stone lion with a human face lies low against the sand. This is the Great Sphinx, carved from a single ridge of limestone left in the ground, not built up from blocks, but cut down out of the bedrock itself. It stretches about 240 feet long and stands some 66 feet high, which makes it one of the largest statues the ancient world ever produced. Who it was meant to be is still argued over. Many believe the face belongs to the pharaoh Khafre, whose pyramid rises just behind it. Others read different kings or older gods into the worn features. The nose is gone, broken away long ago, and the stories about how are more legend than record. The Sphinx faces due east toward the rising sun, as if it was set there to greet the first light of every day. Sand has buried it to the neck more than once across the centuries, and more than once people have dug it back out. It sits there now between the desert and the ruins, patient and unreadable, still guarding the doorway to a world of kings that vanished a very long time ago. On the west bank of the Nile, near ancient Thebes in Egypt, a dry valley folds back into the limestone hills, and from the outside, it looks like nothing at all. This is the Valley of the Kings, and its whole secret is that it points downward. For around 500 years, the pharaohs of Egypt's new kingdom stopped building tombs that shouted for attention and started hiding them here instead, cut deep into the rock, out of sight. More than 60 tombs have been found in these slopes so far. Behind plain openings, long corridors slope down into the dark toward burial chambers, whose walls are covered in painted gods, sacred texts, and maps meant to guide a dead king safely into the afterlife. The most famous of them belonged to a boy, Pharaoh Tutankhamun, found in 1922, with much of its treasure still sealed inside. From above, there is only bare rock, heat, and silence. Everything that ever made this place matter is underground, hidden on purpose, waiting in the cool dark of corridors that have kept the names of kings for more than 3,000 years. Right in the middle of the modern city of Luxor, Egypt, an ancient temple stands, where the traffic and the shops press up against 3,000 years of stone. Luxor Temple was raised mainly under two of Egypt's most powerful pharaohs, Amenhotep III and Ramses II, as a place for sacred processions in honor of the god Amun. At the entrance, giant seated statues of Ramses II guard the gateway, their faces turned out toward the street. Inside rows of tall columns line a ceremonial path set so close and so high that walking between them feels like moving through a forest made of stone. The walls still carry carved scenes of kings, gods, and victory parades from a civilization that ruled this river for centuries. What sets Luxor Temple apart is that it never became a ruin lost in the desert. It stayed in the heart of a town that went on living around it. When night falls and the golden lights come up along the columns, the old stone seems to wake, and for a moment, the ancient city and the modern one stand in exactly the same place. Deep in the desert of southern Egypt near the border with Sudan, 4 colossal figures sit carved straight into a sandstone cliff. This is Abu Simbel, the great temple of Ramses II, and each of those seated giants is about 66 feet tall, taller than a 6-story building. They were cut more than 3,000 years ago, not stacked from blocks, but hollowed directly into the mountain as a warning in stone to anyone approaching Egypt from the south. Beside the main temple stands a second smaller one that Ramses built for his queen Nefertari. Step through the entrance and the mountain opens into halls of carved columns and painted walls that run back into the dark. And here is the part that is almost harder to believe than the carving itself. In the 1960s, a new dam threatened to drown the whole temple under a rising lake. So the entire monument was sawn into more than 1,000 massive blocks, lifted and rebuilt piece by piece on higher ground above the water so precisely that it still lines up with the sun. Twice a year, on 2 exact mornings, sunlight still reaches all the way through the doorway, down the long, dark hall, and onto the statues seated deep inside, just as the builders arranged it 3,000 years ago. For a few minutes, the back of the mountain glows. Then the light slides away, the hall goes dark again, and Abu Simbel goes back to watching the empty desert. A temple that was moved stone by stone so that the sun would never lose its way. Petra, in the desert of southern Jordan, hides at the end of one of the great walks on Earth. For nearly a mile, you move through a crack in the rock called the Sikh Walls, rising hundreds of feet. On either side, the sky pinched to a ribbon overhead. Then the canyon opens, and a rose-colored temple front appears carved straight into the cliff, glowing at the end of the shadow. That first monument is called the Treasury, though no treasure was ever kept there. The name comes from an old local belief that a pharaoh had hidden gold in the great stone urn near its top. You can still see the marks where people fired at that urn over the years, hoping to crack it open and spill the riches out. And the treasury is only the beginning. A long climb of more than 800 rock-cut steps leads to an even larger monument high in the cliffs known as the monastery, its carved front wide enough to swallow the treasury whole. Most people come for that face in the stone. But the real secret of Petra is not the carving, it is the water. This was a city of perhaps 30,000 people living in a desert that barely sees rain, and the Nabateans who built it were master engineers of every drop. They cut channels, sank cisterns, and ran pipe through the rock to catch the flash floods and hold them, turning bare sandstone into gardens, fountains, and a trading capital that grew rich on caravans of spice and incense. And even now, we have barely seen it. Most of Petra is still buried under sand and rubble. By some counts, only about 5% has ever been dug out. In 2016, archaeologists reading satellite images spotted a monument as long as a swimming pool hidden in plain sight, just south of the center that 200 years of explorers had walked straight past. The rose-red city keeps its face turned to the sun and keeps most of itself underground, still waiting. Persepolis rises from a dry plain in the Fars region of southern Iran on a stone terrace so vast it looks less built than commanded into being. This was the ceremonial capital of the Persian Empire, begun around 518 BC under Darius I, when Persia ruled from Egypt to the edge of India. You reach it by a wide staircase shallow enough that horses could climb it and pass beneath the gate of all nations, where carved stone bulls still guard the way in. Along the walls, long lines of figures bring gifts to the king, delegations from every corner of the empire, carved so patiently you can still tell one people from another by their robes and their crowns. The tall columns of the Great Hall once held a roof over a room where the king received the world. Then, in 330 BC, the army of Alexander the Great took the city and burned it to the ground. What the fire left behind is what we walk through today: broken columns, scorched platforms, and the stone shadow of an empire that once thought itself eternal. A short distance from Persepolis, in the same corner of Iran, 4 enormous tombs are cut high into a sheer rock face. This is Naqsh-i-Rostam, the resting place of Persian kings, and the openings sit so far up the cliff that they seem meant for gods rather than men. Each tomb front is carved in the shape of a cross, with a doorway at the center leading back into the dark of the mountain. One of them is believed to hold Darius the Great himself. Below the tombs, later rulers cut huge scenes of victory into the same stone. Kings on horseback, battles won, power announced across the rock for anyone passing to see. From the plain, the cliff reads like a wall of stone doors, sealed and silent, opening onto the memory of an empire and nothing else. In the Bekaa Valley of eastern Lebanon stand the ruins of Baalbek, one of the largest temple complexes the Roman world ever raised. The Temple of Bacchus alone is bigger than most cathedrals, and its columns climb so high that a person standing at the base barely reaches the first step of the stone. But Baalbek is famous for something heavier. Set into the foot of the Great Temple are 3 blocks of stone, so enormous that each one weighs around 800 tons, among the largest building stones ever placed by human hands. And in a quarry nearby lies an even bigger one, still half attached to the ground, near 1,000 tons left exactly where it was cut. Nobody is entirely sure how the Romans moved weights like these. No crane today would find it easy. The stones simply sit there, vast and patient, a question in limestone that the modern world still cannot fully answer. Jerash in the hills of northern Jordan is one of those rare places where a Roman city did not fall into scattered stones. It simply stayed. Walk in through Hadrian's Arch and you step onto the streets that still run where they always ran, nearly 2,000 years old. At the heart of the city is the Oval Plaza, a broad open space ringed by columns that curve around you like open arms. From there, a long colonnaded street runs straight through the old center, and if you look down, you can still see the grooves worn into the paving stones by the wheels of Roman carts. There are temples, 2 theaters, fountains, and public squares, enough of them standing that the shape of daily life is still easy to read. People sometimes call Jerash the Pompeii of the East, though nothing ever buried it. It just kept its streets, its columns, and its silence. A Roman town that the crowds left but time somehow forgot to erase. The Acropolis rises over the center of Athens, Greece, a flat-topped rock, crowned by the ruins of the most famous temple in the world. The Parthenon has stood up there for nearly 2,500 years, built to honor Athena, the goddess who guarded the city. Here is the strange thing about it. There is almost not a single straight line in the whole building. The columns lean slightly inward, the floor swells gently in the middle, the corner columns are a little thicker than the rest. The Greeks had learned that a perfectly straight temple looks bent to the human eye, so they built a subtly curved one that only looks perfect. If you traced those leaning columns up into the sky, they would meet somewhere over a mile above your head. And the ruin you see was not worn down slowly by time. For 2,000 years, the Parthenon stood nearly whole. Then, in 1687, an army fighting over the city stored gunpowder inside it. A single cannon shot found the powder, and in one blast, the roof and much of the temple were gone. What is left still holds its shape against the sky, a near-perfect building, broken in a single afternoon, still standing over the city that made it. In central Greece, near the town of Kalabaka, a cluster of grey stone pillars rises straight out of the plain, some of them over 1,000 feet tall. This is Meteora, and the name means roughly suspended in the air. On top of these natural towers sit monasteries, Orthodox Christian retreats built from the 14th century onward by monks who wanted to be as far from the world as stone could carry them. And that raises an obvious question. How do you build a monastery on top of a pillar with sheer sides and no path? For centuries, the answer was that there almost was no way up. Monks and supplies were hauled to the summit in nets and baskets on long ropes, swinging over a drop of hundreds of feet, pulled up by hand from above. There is an old story that the ropes were only replaced when they broke, a joke that stops being funny the moment you look down. Today, steps cut into the rock make the climb easier, but the isolation is still in the air. Wind moves constantly across the tops of the pillars. The red-roofed monasteries rest in the clouds, with the whole valley spread far below, close to the sky, and a long way from everything else. Meteora is one of the most improbable sacred places on Earth. A handful of small stone worlds balanced on the tips of the rock, still holding on. High above the Paro Valley in Bhutan, a small cluster of white buildings clings to a cliff as if it had grown straight out of the rock. This is Paro Taktsang, better known as the Tiger's Nest, one of the most sacred sites in the Buddhist world. It sits more than 10,000 feet above sea level, and the valley floor drops away some 3,000 feet below it. There is no road. To reach it, pilgrims walk for hours, up through pine forest, past prayer wheels and fluttering flags, along a narrow path where the cliff falls away on one side and the clouds drift below you. The legend says a great teacher flew here on the back of a tigress and meditated in a cave in this cliff, which is why a monastery was later built onto the impossible ledge. The buildings you see today went up in the late 1600s. In 1998, a fire tore through them, and Bhutan rebuilt the whole thing board by board back onto the same edge of the abyss. Stand across the valley and it barely looks real. White walls and golden roofs pinned to a vertical face of stone prayer flags, snapping in the thin, cold air. The people of Bhutan set their holiest place in the single hardest spot to reach on purpose so that getting there would mean something. The Tiger's Nest holds to its cliff and does not explain itself. A small, bright temple hanging between the mountain and the sky. Potala Palace stands over the city of Lhasa in Tibet, a wall of white and red rising straight off a rocky hill more than 12,000 feet above sea level. From a distance, it looks less like a building than like part of the mountain itself, painted and stacked into towers 13 stories high. For centuries, this was the winter home of the Dalai Lamas and the heart of Tibet all at once. A palace, a monastery, and a fortress, folded into one vast structure. Its story reaches back to the 7th century, but most of what stands today was built from the 1600s onward. Inside are more than 1,000 rooms, chapels, tombs, and long, dim corridors lined with murals, gold, and the quiet of centuries of prayer. Climbing the switchback stairs to the top leaves you a little breathless, partly from the climb, partly from the thin mountain air. From up there, Lhasa spreads out below, and the mountains close the horizon on every side. Potala does not shout for attention. It simply sits above the city, where it has always been red and white against the roof of the world. Out of the green plains of central Sri Lanka, a single block of red granite rises almost 600 feet straight into the air. On top of it, more than 1,500 years ago, a king built himself a palace in the sky. This is Sigiriya, and the story behind it is as strange as the rock. In the 5th century, a prince named Kashyapa took the throne by killing his own father and pushing aside his brother, the rightful heir. Then, afraid of the revenge he knew was coming, he moved his capital to the top of this rock, where no army could easily reach him. He laid out water gardens and fountains at the base, some of which still run in the rainy season, and painted the sheer rock face with rows of women whose colors have lasted 15 centuries. The only way up once passed through the mouth of a gigantic lion carved from the stone. Today, just its two enormous paws remain guarding a stairway to a palace that is no longer there. From the summit, the jungle rolls out flat and green in every direction. Sigiriya was a fortress built out of fear, and it worked right up until it didn't. A throne in the clouds that outlived the frightened king who raised it. Ephesus, on the western coast of Turkey, is one of the best preserved ancient cities in the Mediterranean and one of the strangest to reach. It was once a great Roman port. Ships tied up at its harbor. Goods from across the empire moved through its streets. Today, the sea is gone. The coastline has crept miles away over the centuries, leaving the old port city stranded inland among dry hills. You can still walk its marble main street, worn smooth and shining, past the fronts of temples, baths, and public squares. The showpiece is the Library of Celsus, a towering two-story front of columns and statues that once held thousands of scrolls. Nearby, a theater carved into the hillside could seat around 25,000 people, one of the largest the ancient world ever built. Somewhere close by stood the Temple of Artemis, once counted among the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Today, almost nothing of it remains but a single rebuilt column standing in a field. Ephesus is a whole city caught mid-breath, grand, walkable, and quietly abandoned by the sea that once made it rich. In the middle of modern Rome, Italy, down in a hollow between the hills, lies a field of broken columns and marble that was once the center of the world. This is the Roman Forum, and for centuries it was where Rome actually happened, where senators argued, merchants traded, crowds gathered, and emperors were raised up or torn down. it was never a single building. It grew over hundreds of years into a dense cluster of temples, law courts, monuments, and triumphal arches each generation, stacking its ambitions on top of the last. Running through the middle is the Via Sacra, the sacred road, where victorious generals once paraded their spoils toward the heart of the city. Now grass grows between the paving stones, and cats sleep on fallen columns. Around it rise the Palatine and Capitoline hills, still holding the shape of the place. The Roman Forum is less a ruin than a cross-section, a slice cut through the middle of an empire left open to the Roman sky. The Colosseum stands in the center of Rome, Italy, a giant ring of stone arches that has become the very symbol of the ancient world. You already know the basics: around 50,000 spectators, gladiators on the sand, nearly 2,000 years old. What almost no one sees is the thing that made it work, and it is underground. Beneath the arena floor ran a hidden world called the Hypogeum, a two-level maze of tunnels, cages, and ramps. Down there, animals and fighters waited in the dark until at the right moment, trapdoors opened and a system of lifts raised them straight up into the daylight and the roar of the crowd. A lion, a bear, an armed man could appear on the sand as if from nowhere. High above the seats, a huge cloth awning could be pulled across on ropes to shade the crowd, worked by sailors who knew how to handle rigging. And the Romans thought about the crowd as carefully as the killing. Around the outside ran some 80 arched entrances, The seats and passages were laid out so cleverly that tens of thousands of people could pour into their places and empty out again in only a few minutes. Look up at the arches today, and you can still see the numbers carved above them, the ancient version of a seat number on a ticket. In its earliest years before the underground was built, some accounts say the whole arena could even be flooded for mock sea battles. Sit in the stone seats today, and it is silent. But this was once the loudest place in the Roman world. The Colosseum was never only an arena, it was a machine for turning death into a show. And most of that machine ran where the audience could never see it. Rocamadour in the south of France does not sit beside its cliff, it climbs straight up the face of it. The whole village is stacked in 3 tiers on a wall of rock nearly 500 feet high, houses and shops at the bottom, churches and chapels in the middle, and a fortress crowning the top. Since the 12th century, this has been one of the great pilgrimage sites of Europe. People came from across the continent to reach a small dark statue known as the Black Madonna, kept in a chapel built into the rock itself. The main way up is a stone stairway of more than 200 steps, steep enough that the most devout pilgrims once climbed it slowly on their knees. Stand in the gorge below, and the village seems glued to the cliff, impossibly narrow-layered, like something grown rather than built. Rocamadour has clung to this rock for nearly 1,000 years. A whole town holding its breath halfway up a wall of stone above the river. Off the coast of Normandy in France, a medieval abbey rises from a single rocky island in the middle of a wide and flat bay. This is Mont Saint-Michel, and its whole life is ruled by the sea. The tides here are among the strongest in Europe, rising and falling by as much as 45 feet between low water and high. When the tide goes out, the bay becomes a vast plain of wet sand, and you can walk out to the island. When it comes back, it comes fast, sweeping across the flats and turning the mount into an island again within hours. For centuries, this was the island's defense and its danger both. The same water that cut it off from enemies also swallowed careless travelers in quicksand and racing tides. A church has stood on this rock since the year 708, and over the centuries it climbed upward into the Great Benedictine Abbey that crowns it now. Walls, spires, and stairways stacked along the slope toward a golden statue at the very top. When the tide is high and the bay turns to a mirror, Mont Saint-Michel seems to float free of the earth. A stone town, rising out of the water, cut off from the world twice a day, exactly as it has been for more than 1,000 years. In a remote river valley in southern Georgia, an entire mountainside has been hollowed into a hidden city of caves. This is Vadzia, a cave monastery carved in the 12th century, in the time of the country's famous Queen Tamar. Cut into the cliff are hundreds of rooms, chapels, tunnels, storerooms, even wine cellars, all linked inside the rock and once hidden behind its outer face. A church deep in the complex still holds faded medieval frescoes glowing quietly in the dark. Then in 1283, a massive earthquake sheared away the front of the mountain. The outer wall of rock fell, and the hidden city was suddenly laid open to the sky, a cross-section of a secret world still clinging to the cliff, its dark doorways staring out over the valley. Angkor Wat rises out of the jungle of northern Cambodia, the largest religious monument ever built anywhere on Earth. Its 5 stone towers, shaped like lotus buds, were raised in the 12th century by the Khmer king Suryavarman II, first as a temple to the Hindu god Vishnu, later turned to Buddhist worship. A moat as wide as several football fields surrounds it, standing in for the ocean at the edge of the world. Walk the long causeway at dawn, and the towers turn from black to gold as the sun comes up behind them. Inside the walls run for hundreds of feet with carved battles, gods, and processions, including a vast scene of gods and demons churning an ocean of milk to make the elixir of life. Cambodians hold it so close that Angkor Wat is the only building in the world to appear on a national flag. Its towers fly over the whole country on every flagpole every day. The temple is so large that simply walking the circuit of its outer walls covers more than 2 miles. But the biggest surprise at Angkor is not the temple, it is what surrounds it. In recent years, aircraft flying overhead fired lasers down, through the trees and mapped the ground beneath, and a hidden city appeared. Streets, canals, and neighborhoods spreading for miles in every direction. Angkor was not just a temple in the forest. It was the center of one of the largest cities in the world. Before the modern age, a metropolis the jungle swallowed so completely that we forgot how big it truly was. The towers still stand above the trees, and most of the city that built them is only now coming back into the light. On the island of Java in Indonesia, Borobudur rises out of the green plains like a stone mountain built in careful steps. This is the largest Buddhist temple in the world, raised in the 8th and 9th centuries, long before the great cathedrals of Europe. Borobudur is not really a building you go inside. It is a path you walk. The whole structure is a giant stone diagram of the universe, and pilgrims climb it in a slow spiral circling upward through level after level. Along the way, more than 2,000 carved panels tell the story of the Buddha's life and teachings, so that the climb itself becomes the lesson. Near the top sit dozens of bell-shaped stone shrines, and inside many of them, a seated Buddha waits behind the stone half, hidden gazing out over the valleys and volcanoes. For centuries, this masterpiece lay lost, buried under volcanic ash and swallowed by the jungle, until it was uncovered again only 200 years ago. Borobudur does not overwhelm you with height. It moves you one slow circle at a time, upward toward the quiet at the top. On a dry plain beside the Irrawaddy River in Myanmar, thousands of ancient temples and pagodas rise out of the earth as far as the eye can see. This is Bagan, once the capital of a powerful kingdom that ruled here between the 11th and 13th centuries. At its height, more than 10,000 temples were built across this plain. Today, over 2,000 still stand, brick towers with dark inner chambers, pointed spires, and great seated Buddhas waiting in the shadows inside. What makes Bagan unlike anywhere else is that the wonder is not one building, but the sheer number of them, a whole horizon of temples repeating into the haze. At dawn, hot air balloons drift over the plain, and the sun lifts thousands of brick roofs out of the morning mist at once. Bagan sits in earthquake country, and it has paid for it. Strong quakes in recent years have cracked and toppled some of the towers, and repairs go on across the plain. Still, the temples hold their ground spread out in their thousands under a wide and empty sky, a field of prayers turned to brick that time keeps trying and failing to erase. Where three rivers meet, in Sichuan, China, a giant Buddha sits carved directly into a red cliff face, watching the water. This is the Leshan giant Buddha, and at about 230 feet tall, it is the largest stone Buddha ever carved by human hands. Work began in the year 713, during the Tang dynasty, led by a monk named Haitong, who hoped the calm figure would soothe the deadly currents where the rivers came together. The whole cliff became the statue, his head, his shoulders, his folded hands, his feet resting near the water, each one cut straight from the mountain. Look closely and you find a clever secret hidden in the carving. A system of drains tucked behind the head, in the hair, and along the body, quietly carrying rainwater away so the great Buddha does not wash apart in the storms. Ride a boat past the base, and a person standing on one of the toenails would barely reach the ankle. For more than 1,000 years, the Buddha has sat there calm and enormous, looking down at the same rivers it was carved to tame. The Great Wall of China is not a wall. It is thousands of miles of walls, towers, and fortifications built and rebuilt over roughly 2,000 years by one dynasty after another across the north of China. Laid end to end, all its branches and sections run for more than 13,000 miles. Start with the myth. Everyone repeats that you can see it from space with the naked eye. You cannot. It is long, but it is narrow, and from orbit, it vanishes like a thread laid on the ground. What is real is stranger. In places, the mortar holding the bricks together was mixed with sticky rice, a paste so tough that grass still struggles to grow in the seams centuries later. The wall climbs whatever the land throws at it, up sheer ridges, along knife-edge mountains, out into empty desert where it slowly crumbles back into sand. From the watchtowers, soldiers once passed warnings down the line with smoke by day and fire by night, a message racing along the mountains faster than any horse. If you are enjoying this journey across the wonders of the world, take a moment to subscribe, because the strangest places are still ahead. The Great Wall does not run in a straight line, and it never really ended. It just followed the edge of an empire over every mountain until the mountains ran out. Near the city of Xi'an in China, an entire army stands buried underground, not made of soldiers, but of clay. This is the Terracotta Army, some 8,000 life-size warriors, horses, and chariots arranged in battle order in the dark. They were made more than 2,000 years ago to guard China's first emperor Qin Shi Huang in the world after death. What stuns people who see them is that no two faces are the same. Different features, different hairstyles, different expressions, as if each clay soldier were the portrait of a real man. They were once painted in bright colors, though most of the paint flaked away within moments of meeting the air after being sealed underground for millennia. The whole army was found by pure accident in 1974 by farmers digging a well. And here is the part that keeps archaeologists awake. The soldiers only guard the outer edge. At the center lies the emperor's own tomb, a great sealed mound that has never been opened. Ancient records describe rivers of mercury flowing inside it, and modern soil tests have found strange traces of mercury in the ground above. So the tomb sits there still, sealed, silent, and waiting more than 2,000 years after the emperor was laid inside. An hour outside Mexico City in Mexico, an ancient city spreads across the plain, so large and so old that even the Aztecs did not know who had built it. When the Aztecs found Teotihuacan, its giant pyramids had already stood empty for centuries. They walked its avenues in awe and gave the place a name that means roughly where the gods were made. At its height, this was one of the largest cities on Earth, home to more than 100,000 people, laid out on a strict grid around a broad central road now called the Avenue of the Dead. The Pyramid of the Sun rises more than 200 feet above that avenue, a man-made mountain of stone and earth. Facing it from the far end stands the smaller Pyramid of the Moon, closing the great axis of the city. And the strangest thing about Teotihuacan is the simplest. We still do not know who these people were, what language they spoke, or why after centuries of power, their city was burned and left empty. The pyramids remain huge and certain at the center of a place whose builders left no name, only their stone standing under the same sky that watched them disappear. Chichen Itza rises out of the flat green forest of the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, and its Great Pyramid is a calendar built in stone. It is called El Castillo, about 79 feet high, and its numbers are not an accident. Each of its 4 sides has 91 steps. Add them together, add the platform on top, and you reach 365 for every day of the year. Twice a year at the spring and autumn equinox, the setting sun throws the shadow of the pyramid's terraces across its own staircase, and a serpent of light and shadow appears to slide down the stone from top to bottom. The Maya built that on purpose centuries before anyone here had heard of a telescope. Stand at the foot of the staircase and clap once, and the echo comes back, not as a clap, but as a sharp chirp, the call of the sacred Quetzal bird bounced off the steps. The pyramid does not stand alone. Steps away lies the largest ball court in the ancient Americas, where teams once played a fast and brutal game with a heavy rubber ball, and where a whisper at one end still carries clean to the other more than 100 yards away. At the northern edge of the city gapes the sacred cenote, a wide sinkhole of still green water into which the Maya once dropped gold, jade, and at times, people as offerings to the gods of rain. And the pyramid keeps going downward. Hidden inside El Castillo, like a nesting doll, sits an older and smaller pyramid, and inside that one, a third with a red jaguar throne studded with jade. Below all of it, imaging has found a sinkhole full of water, a cenote, the kind of place the Maya believed was a doorway to the world of the dead. Chichen Itza is not one temple, it is a machine of stone, sun, and sound, still keeping time long after the people who set it running were gone. Deep in the rainforest of northern Guatemala, the stone temples of Tikal push up through the treetops like islands rising out of a green sea. This was one of the great cities of the ancient Maya, a center of power and ritual for many centuries. The tallest temples here climb well over 200 feet steep-sided and narrow so high that from the top you look out across an unbroken canopy of jungle stretching to the horizon. There was no great river to supply the city, so the Maya carved huge reservoirs and channels to catch and hold the rains, keeping a metropolis alive in the middle of the forest. If the view from the summit looks strangely familiar, there is a reason. Those temples above the trees appeared in the very first Star Wars film, standing in for a rebel base on a distant moon. When the Maya left, the jungle closed back over the plazas and stairways within a few generations. Today, Tikal belongs to the birds, the howler monkeys, and the wind, an ancient city that the rainforest is always halfway through reclaiming. Machu Picchu sits on a narrow ridge in the Andes of Peru, nearly 8,000 feet above sea level, wrapped in cloud between two steep green peaks. The Inca built it in the 15th century, most likely as a royal estate for their greatest emperor. Everyone knows the postcard. Here is what the postcard leaves out. Machu Picchu was never really lost. When an American explorer arrived in 1911 and carried its name to the world, local farmers were already living on the terraces and growing crops there. A young boy simply walked him up to the ruins. And the real genius of the place is the part you cannot see. More than half of the work at Machu Picchu is underground. Deep foundations, layers of crushed rock, and hidden drains built to carry the enormous mountain rains straight through the site so it will not wash away. It sits on top of two fault lines in one of the most earthquake-prone regions on Earth, and the Inca knew it. They fitted the stones so tightly with no mortar at all that when the ground shakes, the walls flex, the blocks shift a little, and then settle back into place exactly where they were. The Inca who built it were reading the sky as much as the mountain. Near the top sits a carved stone called the Intihuatana, shaped to track the sun on the shortest and longest days of the year. A curved tower nearby the Temple of the Sun catches the light through a single window at the solstice and lays it across a sacred rock inside. Come the old way on foot along the Inca Trail, and you first see the whole city framed in the gap of a high stone gateway called the Sun Gate, exactly as Inca travelers did 500 years ago. Machu Picchu did not survive 500 years of storms and earthquakes by luck. It was engineered too by people we still underestimate. A city built to move with the mountain instead of fighting it, and still standing in the clouds because of it. Not far from Machu Picchu, high on a plateau in Peru, the ground opens into a set of giant green rings, cut down into the earth like a stone amphitheater. This is Moray, and it may be the strangest farm ever built. The Inca carved these terraces in wide concentric circles, each ring stepping a little lower than the one above it. And here is the clever part. Because of the depth and the shape, the temperature changes as you go down. The top rings sit cool in the mountain air, while the floor of the bowl can be many degrees warmer, closer to a lowland climate. In effect, the Inca built a stack of different climates in a single place, and many believe they used it as a kind of laboratory testing which crops could grow at which altitude before planting them across their vast mountain empire. A hidden drainage system runs beneath the rings so that even the heaviest rain never floods the bottom. Stand on the rim and look down into the circles, and Moray feels less like a farm than an experiment still quietly running in the thin Andean air. On Salisbury Plain in southern England, a ring of enormous standing stones has kept its silence for about 5,000 years. This is Stonehenge, older than the pyramids of Giza, built in stages by people who left no writing to explain it. The giant, upright stones came from just up the road. But the smaller inner stones, the ones called blue stones, were carried from the Preseli Hills of Wales, roughly 150 miles away, an astonishing distance to move stone in an age before the wheel had even reached Britain. And in 2024, geologists tested the Great Flat Slab at the very center, the altar stone, and got a genuinely shocking result. It had not come from Wales at all. It came from the far northeast of Scotland, more than 400 miles away. The longest journey any stone is known to have made to a monument like this in the ancient world. And look at how the stones are joined. The great capstones across the top were not simply balanced up there. Each one was locked to the uprights, with joints carved in solid stone knobs, fitted into hollows, the way a carpenter joins wood, so the ring would hold together through 5,000 years of wind. Nobody knows how they moved it that far, or exactly why. What we do know is that the whole ring was built to catch the sun. On the longest day of the year, the rising sun lines up precisely with the main axis of the circle and sends its first light straight into the heart of the stones, as it has done every midsummer for 50 centuries. Stonehenge keeps its purpose to itself, a circle of stone that answers the sunrise and almost nothing else. Off the coast of Yonaguni, the southernmost island of Japan, something strange lies beneath the waves. Down at depths of roughly 15 to 80 feet, divers move over a huge formation of rock with flat terraces, sharp straight edges, and what look like steps and walls, as though the ruins of a sunken temple were resting on the sea floor. Ever since it was found in 1986, people have argued over what it is. Some are convinced it is man-made, the remains of a lost civilization drowned when the seas rose after the last ice age. Most geologists disagree. They see natural sandstone cracked along straight lines and shaped by the currents into forms that only look designed. No tools, no carvings, no certain proof of human hands have ever come up from it. So the Yonaguni monument stays exactly where it is, underwater, unexplained, a question sitting on the border between geology and imagination. In the south of India, the ruins of Hampi lie scattered across one of the strangest landscapes on Earth. A vast field of giant golden boulders piled to the horizon as if a mountain had been taken apart and set down by hand. Among those boulders, people built the capital of the Vijayanagara Empire, one of the richest cities in the world in the 14th and 15th centuries. Temples, palaces, and market streets grew straight out of the rock until it was hard to say where the landscape ended and the city began. At the Vitala temple stands a stone chariot so finely carved that its great stone wheels look almost ready to turn. Nearby rise the famous musical pillars, slender stone columns that ring with different notes when they are gently tapped, a whole instrument cut from a single block of granite. Then war came, and the city was sacked and left to the heat and the boulders. Hampi sits there, still temple towers rising among the giant stones beside the river. A lost capital that the strange landscape seems slowly to be taking back into itself. In the deep Sahara of southern Algeria, among towers of wind-carved sandstone that look like the surface of another planet, the rock itself becomes a picture book. This is Tassili Najer, home to one of the greatest collections of prehistoric art on Earth. Thousands of paintings and carvings scattered across the cliffs. The images are astonishing. Not only for their age, some many thousands of years old, but for what they show. On these desert walls are herds of cattle, hunters, giraffes, hippos, and rivers, animals, and waters that could never survive here now. They are proof that the Sahara was once green, a land of grass and lakes and living things long before it dried into the largest hot desert in the world. Out here, far from any road, the ancient paintings hold on to the memory of a wetter world. a vanished Africa still drawn on the rock where its people left it. Beside the Yamuna River in Agra, India, the Taj Mahal rises in white marble, so pure it seems to glow from within. Most people call it a monument to love. It is really a tomb. A Mughal emperor, Shah Jahan, built it in the 17th century for his wife, Mumtaz Mahal, after she died. A grave so beautiful, it took more than 20 years and thousands of workers to finish. Get close, and the plain white walls come alive. The marble is inlaid with tiny pieces of colored stone, flowers, vines, and verses, cut and fitted so smoothly that you have to run a hand across them to feel the seams. Four slender towers stand at the corners, and here is a detail almost no one notices. They lean very slightly outward on purpose so that in an earthquake they would fall away from the tomb instead of onto it. The Taj does not stand alone. It sits at the head of a vast garden laid out as a picture of paradise. Long water channels divide it into 4 green quarters, drawing a straight line of reflection from the great entrance gate all the way to the tomb. Verses run in flowing script around the archways, the letters near the top cut slightly larger so that seen from the ground they appear the same size as the ones below. The strangest thing about the Taj is that it never looks the same twice. It shifts with the light, soft pink at dawn, blinding white at noon, and pale gold under the moon. Set in its long garden, mirrored in the still water of the reflecting pool, the Taj Mahal stands exactly where a grieving emperor placed it, a piece of frozen sorrow that 400 years have not managed to dim. In the heart of Istanbul, Turkey, Hagia Sophia has stood for almost 1,500 years beneath one of the most astonishing domes ever built. It went up in the 6th century under the Byzantine Emperor Justinian at a time when nothing on earth came close to its scale. The genius of the place is that dome. It is enormous, and yet a ring of windows runs all the way around its base so that light pours in underneath it, and the whole vast ceiling seems to float weightless on nothing but sunbeams. It was so far ahead of its time that parts of it collapsed and had to be rebuilt. The ambition had run out past what anyone yet fully understood. For 1,000 years, it was the greatest church in the Christian world. Then, after 1453, it became a mosque, and minarets rose at its corners. Today, inside golden Christian mosaics look down from the same walls as sweeping panels of Islamic calligraphy. Two faiths, two empires, layered on a single ceiling. Hagia Sophia is once again a working mosque, and it still does the thing it was built to do 15 centuries ago. It makes stone and light feel as though they are hanging in the air. In Vatican City, at the center of Rome, St. Peter's Basilica is the largest church in the world, vast enough to hold tens of thousands of people beneath a single roof. It was raised over the tomb of St. Peter, one of the closest followers of Jesus, on a spot that has drawn pilgrims for nearly 2,000 years. The church we see today took more than 100 years to build, from 1506 onward, and passed through the hands of the greatest artists of the Renaissance. The most famous of them, Michelangelo designed the huge dome that crowns it, a dome so large it defines the Roman skyline. Though he was an old man when he took on the work and did not live to see it finished. Step inside, and the scale plays tricks on you. The gold letters running around the base of the dome look small from the floor, but each one is taller than a person. The gold letters running around the base of the dome look small from the floor, but each one is taller than a person. Everything is built to overwhelm: marble, gold, bronze, and light falling from far overhead. Everything is built to overwhelm: marble, gold, bronze, and light falling from far overhead. St. Peter's was made to make a single human being feel small, and standing under that dome 5 centuries later, it still works. On the edge of Red Square, in Moscow, Russia, St. Basil's Cathedral looks less like a church than like a bonfire turned to stone. Its cluster of onion-shaped domes twists up into the sky in wild colors: red, green, gold, and blue, no two of them alike. It was built in the 16th century on the orders of Tsar Ivan the Terrible, to celebrate a great military victory. The design was unlike anything before it. 9 separate chapels, each with its own tower, gathered onto one base like a stone garden, growing upward. Oddly, the famous colors came later. When it was first built, much of it was plain brick and white. There is a dark old legend that when the cathedral was done, Ivan had the architect blinded so that he could never create anything so beautiful again. Most historians doubt it ever happened. But the story has clung to the building for centuries, and standing in front of those wild and burning domes, you can see exactly why people wanted to believe it. On a hilltop above the city of Granada, Spain, the Alhambra looks from the outside like exactly what it was, a heavy red fortress, all thick walls and blank towers watching over the valley. Then you step inside, and it becomes something else entirely. The Alhambra was the palace of the Nasrids, the last Muslim rulers in Spain, built as their kingdom slowly shrank around them. Behind those grim walls lies a world of open courtyards, quiet pools, and rooms whose ceilings drip with carved plaster so fine it looks like frozen lace or the inside of a honeycomb. Poems are written into the walls themselves, praising the very rooms you are standing in. And everywhere there is water. Channels, fountains, and still reflecting pools run through the palace, fed from the mountains, cooling the air and doubling every arch in their mirrors. In 1492, the last Muslim king handed the Alhambra over, and 800 years of Muslim rule in Spain ended with the keys to this one hill. It has stood ever since as a fortress that hides a paradise, harsh and plain without, and impossibly delicate within. Against the green mountains of Bavaria in southern Germany, a white castle with tall pointed towers rises out of the forest, looking for all the world like something from a fairy tale. That is exactly what it was meant to look like, and almost nothing about it is as old as it seems. Neuschwanstein was built in the 19th century, not by knights, but by King Ludwig II, a shy and dreaming king who loved old legends and the operas of Richard Wagner and wanted a private world to disappear into. Look closely at the fairy tale, though, and you find something odd for a medieval castle. Behind the storybook stone, it was fitted with the newest technology of its age: central heating, running water, flushing toilets, even an early kind of telephone, and a bell system to call servants. It is a castle that pretends to be 500 years older than it is. And it worked so well that it went on to shape how the whole world pictures a castle. Decades later, its white towers became the model for the most famous cartoon castle ever drawn, the one that opens 1,000 childhood films. Inside the rooms are painted with scenes from old German legends and Wagner's operas, a throne hall glittering like a church, a study, a bedroom, even an artificial cave, all built for an audience of essentially one. Ludwig never saw it finished. He was declared unfit to rule and removed from his throne, then died, mysteriously, only days later. His dream castle opened to the public within weeks of his death. In 2025, it was named a World Heritage Site. The building most of us picture when we hear the word castle is barely older than the light bulb. A lonely king's daydream in stone, standing in the Alps, like something that escaped from a story. And the journey ends with the newest wonder of them all. On an island in the Narmada River in India stands the Statue of Unity. At 597 feet, the tallest statue in the world, nearly twice the height of the Statue of Liberty. It was finished in 2018, which makes it younger than some of the phones in our pockets. It honors Sardar Patel, the leader who helped stitch hundreds of separate states into a single India after independence. Beneath its bronze skin runs a spine of steel and concrete built to stand against high winds and earthquakes, and inside elevators carry visitors up to a viewing gallery set in the statue's chest. From up there you look out over the river, the Great Dam, and the hills, a very old landscape seen from inside a brand new Colossus. Think about where we started. A pyramid raised 4,500 years ago by hand. And here we are, at the other end of time, still doing the same thing. Still stacking stone and metal against the sky. Still building something meant to outlast us. The tools changed. The impulse never did. We start in Peru, high in the Andes Mountains on a cliff face above the sacred valley. Picture a transparent aluminum pod, the size of a small room, bolted directly into a vertical rock wall at 1,200 feet above the valley floor. There is no solid ground beneath it, just the cliff, just the bolts, just the glass. To get inside, you do not take an elevator. You do not walk a path. You clip yourself to a via ferrata, a series of iron rungs hammered into the rock, and you climb, hand over hand, straight up the cliff face, with nothing below you but air. Once inside, the floor is transparent. The walls are transparent. You can see everything. The valley, the clouds, the tiny silver line of a river far, far below. And here is what makes this truly insane people pay to sleep here. Voluntarily, with a full view of the abyss they are hanging above. Some call it the most extreme hotel on Earth. Others call it a very expensive way to test your nerves. But this is only the beginning, because so far we are talking about luxury, a choice, a weekend trip. But what if there was no glass, no pod, no harness, no bolt in the wall, just open air at -60 and 500 people who have lived there their entire lives? Remember the question from the opening. Why does the farmer walk back up the volcano? We've been building toward the answer this entire time. We've climbed cliffs. We've gone underground. We've crossed bridges in cloud. We've listened to silence older than every country on Earth. Now, I want to show you the most honest place I know. The one that doesn't dance around it. The one that just states the answer cleanly and leaves it for you to finish. Katski Pila, Georgia. In western Georgia, rising out of the Imereti Valley like a finger pointing at the sky, there is a single column of limestone. 40 meters tall. Not a cliff, not a mountain, a column, flat on top, straight-sided, as if the earth had started to build a finger and then stopped. On top a church, a monk's cell, a wine cellar, a rainwater cistern. The chapel was built atop the Katski Pillar sometime between the 6th and 9th centuries, and then, during the Ottoman invasions, historians believe it was abandoned. The pillar was deemed unclimbable. For 400 years, maybe more, the church at the top became just part of the landscape, something people looked up at and knew about without really knowing anything. In 1944, the first modern climber made it to the summit. 400 years of silence. What they found was not a ruin. The chapel was intact, the wine cellar, the cistern, a place that had been used regularly for some long period in the medieval era by monks who had developed a climbing technique so particular, so private, that it died with the last one of them. Today, a single monk, Maxim Kavtaradze, lives at the top. He climbs down a 20-meter iron ladder twice a week to receive supplies from the community below. He is not lonely. He does not miss the valley. When interviewers ask him the obvious question, why, he gives an answer you've already heard in different words from every person in this film. because this is where he is supposed to be. Now ask yourself, why this pillar? There are 1,000 places in Georgia where a monastery could be built with less effort, less risk, less vertical stone between the door and the ground. Why would monks across centuries choose a 40-meter column in the middle of a valley, visible from everywhere, reachable from nowhere, as the place to build a church? The answer is the same reason anyone builds anywhere in this video. Not because it's safe, not because it's practical, but because the difficulty itself is the point. The climb is the prayer. The isolation is the message. The choosing, the deliberate daily decades-long choosing is the entire thing. A monk at the top of the Katski pillar is as physically far from the world as he can get while still being part of it. He can see the village below. The village can see him. He is not hiding. He is declaring, I am here. I chose this. I am staying. Still in China, still going higher. Mount Fanjing rises 2,570 meters above sea level. At the very top, the mountain splits into two narrow peaks. A Buddhist temple sits on each one. A bridge connects them across the gap. To reach them, you climb 888 stone steps carved into the cliff face. The number is deliberate. In Chinese culture, 8 sounds like the word for prosperity. Every single step carries intention. People have been making this pilgrimage for over 1,000 years. The mountain became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2018, but the mountain did not change. Only the paperwork did. Stand on the bridge between the two peaks above the clouds and ask yourself what exactly you are standing on, rock or faith. Back to the mountains, but this time, the story isn't about survival. It's administrative. Spiti Valley, 12,000 to 15,000 feet above sea level, surrounded by mountains, blocking most weather, most visitors, and apparently any common sense about post office placement. In Hikim village, at 14,567 feet, there is one. Counter, ink stamps, a staff member who has worked there for years. His commute involves altitude acclimatization. A tourist writes a postcard, slides it through the window. That card eventually drops into a mailbox somewhere flat and warm. The envelope says, Hikim, India, 14,567 feet. The recipient usually has no idea what that means. Sometimes people ask the postal worker what it's like working at the highest post office in the world. He says, it's a post office. You stamp letters. During national elections, officials trek for days to set up a voting booth for fewer than 50 people. Folding table, ballot box, every election, never in question. Across the valley, Danka Monastery, 1,000 years old, sitting on a narrow cliff with no architectural reason to still be standing. The monks ring the same bells, at the same times. The post office worker stamps letters at the same altitude. The Indian government requires a post office in every village above a certain population threshold. Sikkim qualifies. Bureaucracy does not care about altitude. The cable is about as thick as your wrist. That's the only thing between you and the open air below. The Bivacco Buffa di Perero isn't just a mountain shelter in the Italian Alps, it is one of the world's most dangerous homes for stranded climbers, built in an absolutely impossible place. It is bolted directly into a vertical cliff, accessible by a suspension bridge that sways over a fatal vertical drop with no visible bottom. Not a long drop, no visible bottom. The cables, the wooden slats, the whole structure shifts in wind. You can feel it moving under your feet before you're halfway across. And the shelter on the other side, it's not on a ledge. It's anchored deep into the unforgiving rock face, testing the absolute limits of structural integrity. 2 narrow metal rooms, small windows, no margin for anything. In strong wind, the walls vibrate. You can hear the cliff settling a sound climbers describe as the rock adjusting its weight, which is a terrifying geological reality and completely unhelpful to hear at 2 a.m. It exists because the Alps don't respect forecasts. A clear sky at noon can become a full whiteout by early afternoon temperatures, plummeting to sub-zero extremes in an hour. Visibility, zero descent, impossible. This shelter is not a luxury retreat. It is a strict survival calculation against a hostile high-altitude environment. If the mountain decides to close, this is where you wait for it to open again. People who've slept there describe a particular sound. Not wind, not their own breathing, the sound of avalanche debris passing below the shelter. Below. Which means the structure is intentionally positioned above the lethal avalanche trajectory. Which is exactly where it has to be. This is not a castle built in front of a cave. It is a castle built inside one. Petra sits in the mouth of a limestone cave in southern Slovenia, halfway up a cliff face that rises 123 meters straight out of the valley floor. The back wall of the castle is the cave itself. The ceiling in several rooms is raw stalactite. There is no separation between the structure and the mountain because there was never meant to be one. Petra is the largest cave castle in the world. Inside, the rooms look exactly as you would expect from a medieval fortress built into a cave. Kitchens blackened by smoke, bedrooms carved into the rock, and small windows opening directly onto the cliff. Behind the castle, a tunnel network runs 14 kilometers through the mountain. In the 15th century, a knight named Erasm Lueger used these tunnels to survive a year-long siege by the Austrian army, smuggling in food and fresh cherries, which he reportedly threw down at the soldiers below to mock them. The siege ended not through force, but through betrayal, A servant lit a torch in a window at the moment Erazim walked to the outhouse on the third-floor terrace, signaling to the cannons below exactly where to aim. The outhouse is still there, on the outer wall of the castle, open to visitors. You can stand in the spot. And then there's Husseini Bridge. Rope and wooden planks across the Hunza River. Planks missing, not broken, just gone replaced periodically when someone gets around to it. The bridge is not a tragedy waiting to happen. It is a piece of infrastructure in active daily use, which is a different and more unsettling thing. The bridge sways in wind. The drop to the river takes several seconds. Local people cross it carrying heavy loads at a normal walking pace because it is the road, and the road needs crossing. Nearby, the Yellow River carries a different kind of impossible. The Lus Plateau dumps so much silt into the river that the riverbed has risen above the surrounding floodplain, a hanging river flowing above the rooftops of the villages beside it, held up by its own levees. When those levees fail, the river doesn't flood into the valley. It falls into it. This part of the world has decided that roads, rivers, and bridges should all exist somewhere they have no logical right to be. Somehow they do. And this still isn't the most punishing terrain in this chapter. The next place doesn't have a road at all. We have crossed 6 continents and thousands of years to stand in these places. The kingdoms that built them are gone. The languages their workers spoke have mostly fallen silent. The gods they prayed to have changed their names or been forgotten. The empires that paid for it all have crumbled into the same dust as everything else. And yet the stones are still here. A pyramid in the desert, a ring of rocks on an English plain, stone faces watching an empty ocean at the edge of the world. People who never met, who could never have understood one another, all reached for the same impossible thing, to make something out of stone that would still be standing long after they were gone. Most of them will never be named again. We do not know who carved the giants on the island or who first raised the pillars on the plain. But their work outlived them by thousands of years, and it will almost certainly outlive us too. Maybe that is the quiet thing all these places have in common. Not the kings, not the gods, just the stubborn human need to build something that says to whoever comes next, we were here. And the stones, patient as ever, are still saying it.